Hello everyone, welcome to John Redmond Power of Attorney, the show that aims to empower you through increasing your knowledge of the law. I'm Attorney John Redmond.
And I'm Shauna Sanford. Well, the BP oil spill is a subject that hits close to home for many of you out there. And today, we're going to focus on the class action lawsuits that involve thousands and thousands of residents and businesses, John.
And we're happy to have with us again Val Exnicius. He's going to discuss the case, and it's a lawsuit that Val is very involved in. And he says it's the most complicated and unique litigation in history. We invite you to join the conversation by submitting your questions. There are several ways to do that, and all of the information is on your screen. But right now, let's get to the headlines.
All right. Well, if you've not already done so, today is the very last day to register to vote for the upcoming November elections. But there are people in many other states who are having problems voting because of the voter ID laws. Now, our first story today takes us to Pennsylvania, where a judge recently ruled that poll workers can ask for a photo ID, but they cannot turn away qualified voters who don't have one. And this only applies to the November election. John, I know you have some really strong feelings about this one.
Well, it's a bedrock of democracy, and your ability to go to the polls and cast your vote for any candidate you'd like, any candidate up for that spot, is it's what our founding fathers risked their lives and their liberty to make happen. So this decision by this federal judge in Pennsylvania basically says the pollsters can ask to see your ID, but if you don't have it, if you can't locate it, if you've misplaced it or it got destroyed one way or another, you can still vote. And I believe it's a positive thing. Anytime, and many people agree with me on this, anytime a decision is made to make it more difficult to vote or less difficult to vote, I side with those who say, you know what, if you're going to make a decision, it's better to say let people vote.
Right.
Frankly, if accidentally people get to vote when they shouldn't, I would like to believe that it's people on both sides, Republican, Democrat, they'll cancel each other out if accidental votes passed.
Well, we'll see if this will affect other voter ID laws across the country. But of course, in order to vote, you have to register, and we want to remind you to go ahead and do that. October 9th, the very last day to vote. And if you have any questions, you can visit the website govote.com to get all the information that you need to know about registering to vote here in Louisiana. Moving on to our next story, frivolous lawsuits. How many times have you heard about how clogged the court system is with frivolous lawsuits? Well, in Oklahoma, a bankrupt gasoline can manufacturer is being used as the poster child for abusive lawsuits by the Institute for Legal Reform. This is a very interesting case. This is a company that manufactures the majority of those red gas cans that so many people are very, very familiar with. What's at the heart of this story?
Well, I got to tell you, I was very interested when I saw that news story because frivolous lawsuits is a hot button word. It's a hot button topic. I'm a personal injury lawyer. When I go to a party, any sort of a gathering, a lot of people will ask me, well, what about all those frivolous lawsuits? I personally believe that that's a myth. And there's a study from 2009 by the federal government that basically debunks that myth. This gas can case, I did the research. They made $60 million. In revenues last year. So far, they've paid out less than $20 million, I believe, in judgments on this gas can issue. Just doing a little investigative journalism, I called Hank Anderson. He's the attorney who represents some of the people involved in the case and involved in one of the main cases where a 2-year-old child was burned to death by one of these gas cans that exploded. Turns out for 5 cents, the company could put a little screen inside the mouth of the gas can that would prevent flames from reaching into the gas can and reaching the gasoline. There's a lot of debate about all of this, but apparently the company knew as far back as 2005 that for modest money you could make improvements on the gas can and avoid having these sorts of accidents and injuries. The company opted not to do that. They thought it might hurt profits. And so my position, and take it from the source, I'm a plaintiff injury lawyer, the company maybe should deserve to go out of business if in fact they are losing more money than they're making.
Well, they didn't want to pay for it, but in fact they are paying for it in a big way, and so here they are bankrupt now because they opted not to put in this.
I just wish that this wouldn't be an issue. If they would have maybe passed on the cost of that modest safety improvement, nobody would have been hurt.
Exactly.
They knew people could have been hurt. I wish it would not have come to this, and I mean that sincerely.
Our final story, the Associated Press reports that a judge in Arizona has ruled that police can immediately start enforcing the most contentious part of the state's immigration law, marking the first time officers can carry out the so-called show me your papers provision. So, John, what does illegal look like?
You know, I wish there was a good definition for that.
Yeah.
The enforcers say illegal. They have some sort of a way to do it. I don't think that's. I think that's disingenuous. Frankly, I think it's going to open up. They may win the battle on that today. They're going to lose the war. I think racial profiling lawsuits are going to follow. And I think it's an embarrassing move by the state, and I hope that racial profiling, I hope that these cases go away and they stop stopping people just because they look Hispanic. I happen to be Hispanic American. I don't look Hispanic, but I'm half Hispanic. So there you go. Okay,
all right. Well, coming up after the break, we're going to talk about the BP oil spill litigation with class action lawsuit expert attorney Val Exnicius. So stay right there. We're coming right back.